Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about how a simple idea in someone's head turns into an actual product that you can hold in your hands? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that entire journey. We're breaking down the whole supply chain management process. And to make it all really stick, we're going to imagine we're building a custom bicycle, right from scratch.
All right, let's get into it. Here's the plan for our explainer today. We're going to start with the big picture, then we'll get into creating the blueprint for our bike, figure out how to gather all the right parts, follow the journey from the factory to the front door, and finally, see how we can use data to make the next bike even better.
First things first, let's get our heads around what a supply chain even is. You can think of it like the central nervous system of a company. It connects literally everything, from the initial spark of an idea all the way to a happy customer.
So really, it all boils down to this one question. The answer is this incredible, interconnected series of steps. It's this whole process of planning, sourcing, making, and delivering that's happening constantly, for every single thing you buy.
So what is it that we're actually trying to manage here? Well, supply chain management, or SCM for short, is basically the art and science of watching over this entire flow, from start to finish. It's not about just one team or one department, it's about making a whole network of different activities work together like a well-oiled machine.
Okay, so now let's get into the actual build. You know, every amazing product starts with an amazing plan. This is where we create the blueprint, long before a single part gets ordered or a single screw gets turned. For our custom bike company, this planning phase is absolutely everything. I mean, think about it. If we get the blueprint wrong, if we totally misjudge what our customers are looking for or how many bikes we can realistically build, we could end up with a warehouse full of bikes that nobody even wants.
At its heart, this planning phase really involves three key things. First, we start with demand forecasting. That's basically our best guess at what customers are going to want. Then we use something called sales and operations planning to make sure our sales team and our production team are on the exact same page. And finally, resource planning makes sure we actually have the people, the tools, and the space to make it all happen.
And this is just a brilliant way to think about why forecasting is so critical. It's like trying to predict if red bikes or blue bikes are going to be the hot item this summer. If we look at the data, see the trends, and correctly predict a huge demand for red bikes, we can build our whole plan around it. But if we get that wrong and suddenly everyone wants blue, we've got a serious problem. Good planning is all about making smart, educated predictions.
Okay, our blueprint is ready. We know exactly what kind of bike we want to build. Now we get to the next critical step, finding the best materials to actually bring that vision to life. This, my friends, is the art of sourcing.
Now, sourcing is way more than just buying stuff. It's a really structured process. First, we have to carefully pick out the best suppliers for our frames, our wheels, our gears, everything. Then we negotiate contracts to lock in the price, the quality standards, and the delivery times. And finally, and this part is so important, we work on building strong, trusting relationships with those partners for the long run.
Now, what's really interesting here is the trade-off. I mean, it is so tempting to just go with whoever gives you the lowest price, right? But a genuinely good partner brings so much more to the table, like quality you can count on and reliable delivery. A risky supplier might save you a few dollars today, but they can end up costing you a fortune with late shipments and bad parts. That can damage your bike, and worse, it can damage your reputation.
All right, so our plan is locked in, we've sourced all our parts, now it's finally time to bring our bicycle to life. Let's take a look at that journey from the factory floor all the way to the customer's front door.
So this timeline shows the actual physical journey of the bike. It all starts with manufacturing, where we're actually assembling it. Then it's on to logistics, which is all about moving those finished bikes to warehouses. Next up is order fulfillment. This is the magic of picking the right bike, packing it up, and shipping it to the right customer. And you know, we even have to plan for the reverse journey, handling returns if a bike needs a tune-up or a repair.
And right here, this is probably the single most important takeaway for anyone new to operations. You simply cannot have a smooth manufacturing or delivery process if your initial plan was shaky or if your suppliers aren't reliable. The work you do in those early stages, in planning and sourcing, is the foundation that everything else is built on.
You know, a supply chain is never really finished. It's more like a living, breathing system that we are constantly watching, measuring, and trying to improve. And the main tool we use to do all of that? It's data.
We track pretty much everything using what are called Key Performance Indicators, or KPIs. This little table gives you an idea of how we measure success. Are we hitting our goal for on-time delivery? Looks like we are. But how quickly are we selling through our inventory? Maybe not as fast as we'd like.
By looking at these simple numbers, we can see exactly where we're winning and where we need to focus our efforts to get better.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. Data isn't just about looking at what happened in the past. It's all about looking forward. Analyzing all this information is what lets us make smarter decisions, fine-tune our processes, and figure out how to build even better bikes more efficiently the next time around. So, we've walked through how planning, sourcing, manufacturing, and data all link together to create this one seamless flow. Which brings us to a final question to think about. In this really complex, interconnected system, what do you think is the single most critical link? Is it the initial forecast, the supplier relationship, or maybe it's something else entirely? The answer might just be whatever part you play in it. Thanks for tuning in.